Hour 2 Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel. Bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado, Mike Johnson coming up here in a moment. Leafs Sens tonight. Shout out to Tua and the Dolphins. Big win last night. Bad pick by Hazenbrough. We got to own that. Bad pick. Bad information, bad pick.
You guys, you just can't. As soon as you get it, you're like the Pens. You win in Washington,
tough,
and
man.
then you trip all over yourselves. You
I know.
can't get out of your own way.
We can't get over the top. We can't do it. But yeah, that speaks to how important Tua is. I thought that Rams offense, they were awful last night. Stafford had a lot of really poor decisions and poor throws. But without Tua, that was one of the worst operations in football. And then Tua shows up and he, for the most part, protects the ball, moves the chains, moves the offense, makes plays, and they win ball games.
I like Tyreek. He's like a game-time decision, and then he catches a touchdown, and then he's doing that celebration. His coach must have been like losing his mind.
He wasn't much of a factor beyond that. Like, they were spreading the ball around a lot last night. Clearly,
one for six, all I care about.
That's what he needs, man.
One thing you can say about Tua, there's no lack of weapons there for him, man. Like, when he steps in, you could see the difference he makes, but like, it's not like he's playing with chumps there. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got a lot of weapons, and he has had a lot of weapons for a while now.
Absolutely.
I got to bring up one thing because I leave at 5:30 on Leaf games. Stop with this Juan Soto, like.
Oh, you didn't hear the news?
What?
How did we not get to
breaking
this yet?
news? The Jays are meeting with him first.
The first team.
That's breaking news.
Dude, I know that, but I'm saying enough of this garbage. He is not signing here, and how the Jays could get sucked into this. The Mets and the Yankees and possibly the Dodgers are they're sitting back with their feet up saying, all right, if you really want to do that and toot around and get some offers, go ahead, because we'll just come on top with a King Daddy top.
If this is a sign, like, listen, you're in the room, and here's what needs to be clarified. The Blue Jays have the finances to pay him whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, if he is being serious, I will literally go to wherever you're paying me the most money, if that is the truth. And I don't believe it is. I certainly don't know it to be the truth. That is not far-fetched to say that Rodgers has the money. They're going to make it the next 2 weeks with Taylor Swift in town. The Taylor Swift being here alone, they could just say, here's all the money. Here's all the profits we just made from the Eras Tour, and hand it right to Juan Soto. So they can do that. This isn't like Pittsburgh or Oakland or Tampa saying we want in. You're not spending. You don't have the money. You're not going to do it, so don't waste time. But the idea that the Jays are going first, to me, is a horrible sign. Like, that screams Boris saying, come on in, give us your offer, so we can go give it to the other team.
That's Boris organized that.
Of
because
course.
he knew what happened last year with Ohtani and the Dodgers.
Right.
So he's like, we're going to get them to spice things up, and then we're going to take a massive dump right on that guy's desk when we're done.
That's kind of what it feels like.
That is exactly what they're going to do.
And you have to accept it. Like, you can't call up Boris and say, actually, we want to trade. We want the Yankees to go first. Like, the reported pecking order here, according to Jeff Passan, is Blue Jays, Red Sox, Mets, Yankees. So in other words, thank you for your offer. Thank you for your offer. Appreciate your offer. Steinbrenner's, here's what we have.
And you start with
like,
the
that's
Jays.
Kind of what it feels like. You're gonna get
no, not
Yankees.
here's what's it going to take.
Yeah.
Well, and you start with the Jays because they got deep pockets, and maybe because of Ohtani last year, they just might be desperate enough to really drive up the price. So then when the big boys
That's
come
exactly
in,
right.
they can
They're
just say,
so
okay,
horned up
here's
that they
where we're
missed
at.
out on
Brilliant. You're going to
Ohtani.
match it?
Brilliant.
Perfect. No problem.
Brilliant.
And the offer the Jays would have to make would have to be astronomically higher than the Yankees for it to actually happen.
And that's why I think if you're Shapiro and Atkins, you can't put a number on the table. You can't allow that to happen. You can't walk in. You can make your pitch on why you think Soto would fit in. And again, they'll pitch the city, they'll pitch the new facilities, they'll pitch Dunedin, the history with the team in the Dominican Republic, which is a rich history, but it's not 1984 anymore. This isn't George Bell and Tony Fernandez we're talking about anymore.
Some business
different
deals
era.
go down like this, where it's like, here's our offer, but there's only one thing this gets done. You're not going back to anybody else.
They need to do the car salesman play.
Well, there's been
What
other
can we do
deals
to get
that
you
have
in a
happened
car
like
today?
that. Maybe some sports media ones where it's like,
Yeah.
here's our deal, but you can't go back to the other guys because it's take it or leave it.
Well, that's
the
what I'm
only
saying.
way you can handle it.
We need Ross and Mark to say, what do I have to do to get you in a Blue Jay uniform today? What are you willing to trade in? Because we'll accept it. 1.99 financing. Put it on the table.
48 months.
I can't allow you to leave here without being a Blue Jay.
We want to get
That's
you
what
for
has to
200
happen.
months.
Rubber mats?
Servicing for
Rubber
free
mats?
for 12 years.
12 years servicing and some rubber mats. What do we have to do to make sure you leave?
And
here
you
in
know
a
what?
Blue
If
Jay
you ask
uniform?
nicely, we'll throw in a couple
Rubber
baseball
mats.
caps.
Yes. And listen, we can make this work. And we both want to be happy.
Rubber mats, and we'll clean that bastard on the way out the door.
Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Johnny?
You throw in some winter tires, and I am signing right now.
Right now. What do I have to do to make you a Blue
I'm
Jay
driving
today?
it home.
Yes.
Winter tires, I'm driving it home.
I agree,
What
man.
about free installation?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
tire balancing, servicing,
Yep.
winter mats, yeah.
The mats.
All the good stuff.
Oh,
WeatherTech.
yeah, man.
WeatherTech, the good ones.
Got to be in there. You get WeatherTech in there, I'm buying that car.
Yeah. You throw a WeatherTech in the very rear of the cup holder, I'm in.
I'm in. I'm buying. What are you saying?
The WeatherTech cup holder puts me over the top.
I need your product.
Yeah.
I need it.
Where do I sign?
I can't live without your product.
I don't want to hear anything else. I'm done.
Yeah,
Sold.
I'm in, man. That's going to be Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins
Yes,
with
he's gonna
Juan
just
Soto.
sit down. There's a WeatherTech cup holder. Take it or leave it.
Juan, we have front row seats to the Eras Tour. That's what he's going to throw in next week. If they're meeting with him, fly up. We're going to give you the whole Taylor Swift routine. We need you to be a Blue Jay. I think he'd accept that deal, quite frankly. I don't see how he'd turn it down, Johnny.
Friendship bracelets to go with,
Everything.
and that's like deferred money forever if you got a Taylor Swift box.
Wouldn't that be great?
me?
Wouldn't that be amazing if it got reported that the Jays asked Taylor if they could use her in the Juan Soto sweepstakes?
In a pitch?
Yeah, in a pitch, and she said, absolutely not. Mark and Ross, get out of my face.
Imagine the video comes through. He's sitting in the boardroom. They got the board out.
Oh,
They
yeah.
go, hey, we just have someone that wants to say hi to you here. Hey, Juan, it's Taylor Swift.
He's Swift at the Rogers Center.
Dude, I've heard some crazy
Can't wait to
stories
see ya.
about
I can't wait.
getting together with like. I've heard stories like this, and I don't know if they're true, but it's told from some credible people, where it's like to even get a meeting with Messi, it's like you have to buy him some outrageous watch to take the meeting. And
Oh,
he could
yeah.
tell you to go stuff it after the meeting, but you got to buy him this watch to take the meeting.
I would not be surprised at all.
And he can literally listen for 5 minutes and then give you the bird and say, see you later. But you got to get on the watch to get the meeting. That's insane.
To get in, you're talking probably a $35,000
Just to get in the door.
to get in the door to pitch something where
you're
he goes,
buying him a watch that is so
You're buying him
outrageous.
a Rolls Royce Phantom, whatever you need.
insane.
Yes, but which is crazy because like the guy doesn't need a watch. He can have any, doesn't like that's wild. Like you're talking about $500 million, and you got to incentive guy with like 10 or 20 grand just to take a meeting. It's wild.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yet you hear that about celebrities who have been living it forever. Like there was someone said that about Mick Jagger, that like he'll just show up, order 5 bottles of the most expensive wine you've ever seen in your life, and then just leave because he's like, someone else is picking it up. I'm not paying for that.
so greasy, man.
Like, so
I haven't
greasy.
paid since '82.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't paid since like, Sticky Fingers came out. Like I don't do that. Do you know who I am and how we operate here? We do not pay for anything. It's absurd. Yet, it's a pretty good lifestyle. It is a pretty good
I'd take
lifestyle.
it if I could get it.
If you're
Not
A
gonna lie to
plus,
you.
man, if you're an A plus celebrity, like Taylor Swift's rolling through town. I think she's on Uber Eats trying to get something.
Okay, guys.
Let me ask you this.
Where's
chance.
Taylor Swift staying when Toronto? Where do you think she stays? She
Yorkville.
rent the top floor of the Ritz Carlton. Is she got the penthouse of the one hotel? Is she rented a house in wherever Bridle Path beside Drake? Where do you think she stays? when
I
she
could
comes
see an
this long into a
Airbnb in
city?
like Rosedale or something. I could see some like
Yeah.
massive CEO just saying, "You have my house for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
great, here's
I'll
your
take
whole
2 seats.
staff."
Call it a deal.
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
far away is Anthony Stolarz from not having to pay for a meal in Toronto?
Oof, good one.
He walks to the rink, guys. he walks to the rink. I'm not going to say where he lives. I know where he lives. He takes he walks it to avoid the traffic. So yeah, not for long. He'll be getting swarmed if he keeps this up.
Well, and the weather, he's not in South Beach anymore, dude. Wait until the first storm hits.
Yeah, I'm not walking anywhere.
No, you're not walking. But, like, he's going tonight, and it's a formality, isn't it? We talked about it the other day, Johnny. Like, last week it was Detroit on Friday, the Habs on Saturday, and a little bit of a conversation, who might get the start. And they went with Stolarz, and it worked. And I think that's obviously why you would continue to go with this program. But tonight's the game. Like, tomorrow's a tough one on the road, back-to-back in Washington. That's going to be a difficult game for Joseph Woll. Mm-hmm. This is the one you want to get. Who's your A guy? It's Stolarz. It's a formality. You play him tonight.
Makes sense. Division opponent. You're playing well. They're coming off a big win. Battle of Ontario, first game since the Ridley Gregg cross-check from Morgan Riley. And you're going the guy who gives you the best chance to win. That's clearly Stolarz right now. That ship has sailed. We don't even talk about it anymore. You're exactly right. And he's earned that. And he's earned that not just for, like, one-off game. Like, it's going to be a few weeks of play where Woll is better than Stolarz for them to flip this back to the intended script, because Stolarz has been that great probably after Connor Hellebuyck, maybe Shesterkin. He's the top 3 goalie in the league right now, and we're about 20% of the way into the season. We're not just starting anymore. We're coming up on 16, 17 games. It's a significant chunk of time. The only question is, well, how long can he mentally, physically play somewhere near this level, because he hasn't done it before? Can he go for 45, 50 games like this and not really have an issue? I don't know if they'll be able to answer that until he gets to that point.
Johnny, it's about that time of year where we start marveling over Mitch Marner's game and how complete his game is and what he does and all the things that he does to help the team win. What is he doing in this last stretch of games where we're like deservedly so? I'm probably going to talk about him in the pregame show tonight, where it's so good and it's so effective. What is he doing differently than what he does in the playoffs where it's not so effective?
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about him in my open, so don't steal all my thunder, because you're right. He has been really, and not just the 3 games without Austin Matthews. Prior to that, he's really good. I think when Mitch is at his best, he uses his feet to create open ice for himself and his line mates. And that goes both offensively and defensively when he turns pucks over and goes the other way with it. And that's what he's been doing really well as of late. In the playoffs, I think 2 things happen. One, the checking is so much tighter that he doesn't, even if he's working the same way, he can't find the same open ice because there just isn't the same degree of open ice. So that goes away. And I think he is intentionally trying to get closer to the net for himself and for his line mates. Not, he's still not a shooter by nature, but not get stuck at the perimeter so much, not get stuck on the far wall kind of waiting for a pass and some time and space over there, but moving through the slot, moving in and around the net, behind the net to create time and space. And I think that's something that they will continue to try to work and grow with him consistently, so that when he gets to the playoffs, yes, the checking will be tighter. There won't be as much space, but because of the patterns of where he goes on the ice, he'll be able to be more effective, because he doesn't need much. Like, not a lot of time and space required for him, not a lot of turnovers, not a lot of odd man rushes for him to make something special happen. I think he's been, like, almost as good as I remember him being the last 2, 3, 4 games. He's playing exceptionally well.
And you saw his 2 goals, Johnny. Guess where they were? Right in front of the net. So it's like, there's only a few guys in the league that can distance score. Like there's only a few of them, and he ain't one of them. No,
and that's no shame. Like you mentioned, there's probably 20 players in the league who can consistently score from 35 feet. And if you don't have that ability, he has a lot of other things that he can do that make him very dangerous, and that's where he's at right now.
Johnny, it feels like, if we talk about Marner, we have to talk about Tavares with Matthews out of the lineup. And, like, his game looks better than it did, I guess, in the earlier portions of the season, where maybe we're talking about that, is he even a second-line center? Can he play in the top 6? And now John Tavares, like, it looks good. It looks different. Like, what have you made of Tavares? I guess, he's got 3 goals in the last 2 games, but, similar to what you're seeing from Marner, what do you see from Tavares recently?
The power play obviously is a big part of it. He has exceptional hands in and around the net. And so anytime he can get himself and the puck in and around the net, he's still going to be really good. he can't skate quite as well as he once did. He can't get there quite as often. But when he's there and the puck's there, the ability to make plays and finish pucks is still the same. So I guess that's what I'm seeing is that the team is getting much better on the power play. And then, could relate, Frankie, maybe, I don't know. When you get points, it drives the oxygen to your legs, right? Like, it makes you better once you get points. He's picking up points now, so now he's playing, probably feeds his 5-on-5 play because he's playing that much better.
With, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and I think you'll take that as long as he can. And I think for all that Toronto has searched for, and it's been a long time, right? Like, they've tried 2 years in a row to find an option to have John Tavares not play second-line center. He's a second-line center on this team. I think that until they change the roster, there is no other better option.
With Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, Leafs Sens tonight on TSN 4. So Ottawa rolls into town. They're 7-7. They've had ups and downs, but they're trying to separate from the Buffaloes and the Detroits and the Montreals, and they're trying to push one of Boston or Tampa or the Leafs or Florida out. Tonight's a big game, I think, for the Leafs to complete this homestand, especially without Matthews. They win this game tonight. That's 4 straight against their division at home without the big dog. That's a big accomplishment, but it's clearly a bigger game for Ottawa. It's a much more meaningful game. They're coming off an overtime win in Ottawa or in Boston against the Bruins. I got to see way more out of this team to believe that they can and will be a playoff team. What have you seen out of them, and what do you need to see to maybe be a believer that this is the year in which Ottawa actually can punch a ticket?
They've made strides in my mind, Hazy, and I think largely because you look at the way they defend, and it's not because they've got better goaltending, because actually Olmark's just been just okay to start his time in Ottawa. You look at they don't give up much off the rush. They've gotten a little bit better at protecting off the cycle, and they just are so much better defensively that you put that pretty talented offensive group there, and all of a sudden they're pretty good. So when I see a team that at 5-on-5 is a top 5 team in expected goals against, that tells me they're going to be in the game all the time. And you put that team in the game every time, they're going to pick up enough wins. That's the biggest difference. And I give Travis Green so much credit for that, because he's come in, taken largely the same roster, and he's made them a very different kind of team. I think we'll see it tonight. They don't give up that much at 5-on-5.
Well, they don't give up that much. They just have like the untimely mistakes. Like early in a period, they had a game where they gave up the early goals in the period. Then they had the Colorado game where it's like the late goals in the period. I guess like I see the same thing when I watch Ottawa, but I'm almost a little surprised that there's not more there offensively. Like I feel like there should be more from, the whole group, that whole nucleus, Norris, Batherson, like even, Stützle's been good, Kachuk's been good, but I feel like as a group, I want more offensively for them. Do you feel the same way at all, or are you okay with, the offensive output that they get?
No, you're exactly right. Like, I sing their praises for their defense at 5-on-5. It has come at the expense of them being more dangerous at offense at 5-on-5. Now, I'll give them a little grace in that, one, Josh Norris is still coming back from his shoulder injury again. He hasn't played in a couple years, still trying to figure it out, get up and running. Shane Pinto, who I think is returning tonight, is a really important player for them. He's missed 7-8 games, so they haven't really had their full roster together, anything from their depth guys. So if it's not going to be the first 2 lines, and it's not going to be the third or fourth, especially with Pinto and David Perron having missed a whole bunch of time as well. So it's very top heavy. And you're right, Frankie, like they got to be better offensively. But if I'm Ottawa, I will take the commitment to defense and a little bit of a sluggish offense, because that's not been the MO over the last several years. They always gave up defensive assignments to go chase more offense, and they needed to flip it, and they have done that, and you trust that the offense will come along because of the talent.
So the Pittsburgh Penguins got smoked last night, 7-1. They were down 6-0 after the first period. We spoke about this last week, Johnny, where we were talking about how bad it is and how ugly it could continue to get. Last night felt like kind of I wouldn't say a tipping point. No? Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure how you describe that, but now the whole league is kind of paying attention, and the whole hockey world's like, whoa, this is really, really bad and really ugly. Yet I don't know how they get out of it because they're so committed to these guys. And there's a report out of Pittsburgh now. Dubas is telling the league, call me on anyone not named Sid. I'm willing to have a conversation with you. But that's patchwork, in my opinion. Like, if you're going to bring in guys where you think you can win right now, that's an impossibility. You can't do it.
See, I read call me on anyone but Sid as like, I realize it ain't working now. I'm stripping it down. And what that really would do is undo mistakes they've made the last 3 years, right? Like the Malkin, Letang, Carlson contracts that they put on their books as of late. Tristan Jarry, for sure, that extension that they signed. Those of Ryan Graves, those have all not worked. And so I think what Kyle Dubas is saying, we're willing to concede. Those are not working, and we will make changes. And if that makes us a little bit worse, I'm sorry, Sid, for your legacy in your last couple of years that you might not play on a great team. But as we're built, the way we thought it'd be fun to have all your buddies back around, we're not a good team. We're a terrible team. We're like terrible off defensively. So, yeah, I don't know what they do. They're not going to be competitive. I think just how quickly can they unwind some of the mistakes they've made. That's the biggest challenge for Dubas right now. And the answer usually is, I'm not taking a terrible contract without significant sweeteners or without giving you a bad one back. So I don't know what kind of magic Kyle Dubas will be able to pull out of his hat. Remember, he traded away a first-rounder that ended up being Seth Jarvis to take on Patrick Marleau's contract. Right? Like, I don't even want to mention it again, but right?
Don't start.
Like, this is what it costs to get rid of bad deals, and those picks can turn into good players like Jarvis. So, yeah, I turned that game on, Hayes. It was 3-0. I'm like, oh, my God, 10 minutes in. Oh, geez. Mm-hmm. I watched for 10 minutes. It was 6. I'm like, oh, like, I just turned it off.
Horrendous, man.
It was outrageous.
It's like the Simpsons, like, stop it. He's dead already. Like, let him go.
Yeah.
It was awful, and the crowd was leaving, and I kept seeing the close-ups of Sid's face, and you know, he hasn't been on a bad team, a really bad team. Maybe like his rookie year, they weren't particularly good. But other than that, he's been on a good team. And it must, all those competitors, Gino, Chris Letang, all those guys, it must kill them. They're so used to being successful. It must eat them up personally, going to the rink and having it be like this.
When it comes to a better story, is there a better story than the Winnipeg Jets right now? And I guess I would take it one step further. Like, can you get behind this year being the year that a goalie potentially wins the Hart, Connor Hellebuyck?
No, there's no better story. And I would never have guessed, guys, that there are 14 wins and 1 loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the best start in the history of the league. I didn't know that. I think they just passed Ottawa, who was at that same point. I would have thought some team went 17 and won, the Oilers or something, but no. That's a great story. And I think with the question marks that they had around them coming into the season, it's amazing. Connor Hellebuyck winning the Hart? I don't know. I don't
think
know.
It's just it's been him though. That's like he's been phenomenal.
Right.
He's been great. But they're not winning 2-1 every night. They're scoring more than anybody we've ever seen before.
That's what, like, the biggest improvement for them is they're scoring way more than they did last year. Their power play is way better than it was last. Nikolai Ehlers is unbelievable. Like, this guy could be an 80-point guy this year for the first time.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Like it's always been injury.
There's a lot.
Contract year.
Yeah, exactly.
Health and contract.
That will
love
always
it.
The thing that will always go against Connor Hellebuyck is the fact that the Winnipeg Jets are a very good defensive team. So when Comrie goes in the net, they'll still win that game more often than not. But like Hellebuyck for a while was going, really good year, average year, really good year. Now he's going to stack together 3 really good years in a row. And I guess if you take a look at the rest of the field, it's like Kaprizov would probably be leading the field right now. Yeah. And it's very early, but we always talk about these kinds of things. I think like Hellebuyck deserves to be not on the outskirts of the conversation this year.
No, and it probably will come down to how much you believe the Vezina is the goalie equivalent of the MVP. Like, how exceptional does the goalie have to be part of the MVP conversation when you sort of concede the Vezina goes to the most important player in the league anyways? So there is that. And I bet, Frankie, now this is not part of the written description of the Vezina, it will be held against Connor Hellebuyck that he won the Vezina last year and flamed out in the playoffs. As far as winning the Hart.
Right.
Like, that's all part of like the backstory that would surround him. But yeah, it's amazing. Like, the Leafs are on tonight. It's going to be a fun game, Battle of Ontario. The other marquee game in the league, though, at MSG, Winnipeg going up against the Rangers. That's a big time stage for a team doing what Winnipeg's doing, going up against a team in the Rangers, that's pretty darn good. And the other best goalie in the world, I think the two of them are Hellebuyck and Shesterkin. So they'll probably go head-to-head tonight, and we'll find out who gets the best of that matchup for tonight anyways.
Shesterkin might get paid like $4 million more per year than Hellebuyck, too, if he signs
What's crazy, Hayes?
Yeah.
Think back to when Hellebuyck wanted out of Winnipeg, and he was shopping himself around the league he wanted whatever, $10 million a year. I don't know what the number was. And he found that market wasn't there. And you look what he's done now the last year and a half. You're like, man, maybe some team should have said, you know what, we'll give him 9.5 and we eat the last 2-3 years because he's going to give us 3 or 4 great ones. Because Jersey's combined goaltending is $9 million. They could have taken him and the league minimum guy. So, we'll see. But getting paid $4 or $5 million more than the next best guy, that's good. Good agenting by Shesterkin.
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it's still got to get done, but I think we all know that seems to be where it's going. Anyway, we'll see what comes of it tonight. Leaf Sens on TSN. Enjoy it. We'll do it later in the week.
All right, fellas. Have a good night.
There's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Check out Maple Toyota's huge truck and SUV lineup, including Tundra, 4Runner, Highlander, and Grand Highlander in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. All right. I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Raptors in action in Milwaukee. The old in-season tournament game tonight.
Nice.
There's a lot of buzz for that game. And Emmanuel Quickly's injured again. He's hurt his elbow, so he's out for probably weeks. Has played 3 games. He just got back. He was out all of camp. Gets hurt opening night. Comes back in L.A., plays a game and a half, and now he's out again. And they're 2-9. They're 2-9, dead last in the NBA.
That's why it's always just come back when you're ready. Like, why force it if you're going to do this in and out? Take the extra couple days, whatever it is.
Well, they're really going to do that, man.
Yeah. They'll get dummy.
That's the thing. Milwaukee is not off to a good start. Doc Rivers, it's weird. Giannis is talking about his future. Like, yet if you're Milwaukee, you're like, this is what we need. Raptors in town. We got to take care of business. Raptors haven't won a game on the road yet this year.
Probably not going to win many on the road this year.
That's the thing. Like, now you're on the road. You're in Milwaukee tonight. They're like an 8.5, 9-point dog. I don't know. It's like Quickly's out. Barnes is out. We still haven't seen Olynyk. It's just going to be a really tough year, man. Like, it's going to be a really tough year. But they embraced it. You know, we were talking about Pittsburgh. Like, the Raptors had a great decade. Awesome 10 years. That was a lot of fun. Now you got to pay the piper. Here's what you get. You go into Scotiabank Arena, there's a big banner hanging up of them winning the division like 8 years in a row. Mm-hmm. It's a good run, man. That's like you're automatically in the playoffs, and you're getting home court advantage. Yep. The Juan Soto banner is going up next. Jay's interview him first. In the mix. Jay's in the mix. Everyone's doing it again. This is the thing that's bothersome is I'm sure that the Jays can't control it, and I don't dispute that they're legitimate. They're not wasting Soto's time. They have the money. They would happily sign him. I do believe that. I don't think they're doing this to put forth some performance so people believe that they're trying to get this guy. I think they would have the money. They'd secure the money. They'd sign him. But they have become the team that I think agents are using to get people buzzing and get the other team to step up and pay. Like the Dodgers with Ohtani and likely the Yankees with Soto. Be in on them. Be in on them all you want. But when it doesn't happen, because you know it's not going to happen, don't waste the rest of the offseason. Like, have a contingency plan ready to go because you're going to have to use it. Yep. All right. Panel night tonight.
You guys be good.
Say hi to Meth for us. Mark Mathod in town. Let's
do it.
He must feel uncomfortable being in Toronto.
No, he loves it.
Does he?
Yeah, he loves it.
I wonder what kind of suit he's got on. He's got some pretty bright suits.
Yeah, he likes a checkered suit.
A checkered.
He will rock a checkered suit. He loves
the old school Italian restaurant. You know, the red and white tablecloth? Mm-hmm. He's got that one in the mix.
And he wears it. He loves it. Yeah. Looks phenomenal. All right. Good stuff. We'll catch you on the panel tonight.
All right, boys.
There's the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. All right. We've got Joe Bowen and Jimmy Ralph coming up. The game on TSN Radio. Both boys will join us. We got Confirm or Deny still to come as well. Leafs Bruins tonight. Raptors in Milwaukee. Juan Soto meeting with the Jays. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Confirm or Deny coming up. Joe Bowen, Jimmy Ralph with the call tonight, live from Scotiabank. The boys will join us in about a half an hour. Leaf Sens tonight. You know what I saw last night? And this has got to be such a great feeling that I guess Augusta National, I don't know if they do this every year or biannually or whatever, they accept new members. So the way it works, my understanding is basically they offer you an invitation and you have to accept it.
For sure.
And if you don't, you're banned for life. You know, there's no like, I'm kind of tight here. Can I get back to you in a year or two? Or what do you have on, any junior memberships or anything like that?
Get an intermediate price?
Yeah, can I be just an intermediate guy and
Or
play?
how about this one? Can I throw it on social? How
That's
many rounds a year can I play on social?
Right.
I don't
Like
think
there's
so.
no negotiating with Augusta. This is what it's going to cost you. You have 24 hours to pay it, and then you're in, and you can play like 3 or 4 times a year, and that's it. Because it's not like you can just hang out and the night before book a foursome, the 750. I'm going to check the app to see if we can get on Augusta tomorrow. Like you are not really allowed to play. This is my understanding. Not allowed to play it a lot. You have to call well in advance, let everyone know we're coming.
If you're a member?
Yes.
So wait, so if you're a member, you can't play like 4 days a week and have your like time slot that you usually play?
I'm pretty sure that doesn't happen.
Really?
That is what I've been told.
Well, you were there.
I was there.
You were
Now
on the
again, you got to
premises.
remember the majority of members are not in Augusta. Like there probably are some families that have been associated with the course forever that live in
Right.
Georgia or whatever and have access to it. But there's members from all over the world.
Wealthy people that fly in just to play it a couple times and then they're gone.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of Canadians reportedly that are members. I think there's only 2. And it would be a call, your call, hey, coming down next week, I'm bringing 3 people. Can you get us on? Obviously, you can get on. You're a member. Of course, you can play. But it's not a scenario, to your point, where you finish 18 and you say, why don't we play 36? I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a men's night. I don't think.
Guys getting boozed up on
Yeah.
the 18th green.
I don't think it happens. Where, hey, where'd you? Oh, you're going off on 15? Awesome. We'll see you in the clubhouse. Like
Yeah.
that's not happening. But they announced 4 new members. One of them is Eli Manning. And Peyton's already a member. He's been in there before. But that's got to be one of the coolest feelings in the world that they announce it to the world.
Yeah.
Frankie Corrado is a new member at Augusta. Do you know how incredible that would be?
Well, the whole world would
Such
be
a
watching
baller
you,
move.
and everyone's jealous now. The
Yes.
whole world, they're all watching, and they're all jealous, and they all know that you passed the test, whatever the criteria is, financially, I'm sure personality-wise, like
Yep.
they gotta appreciate what you bring to the table, right? Like because they govern by their own laws.
Right.
There. They can do whatever they want.
Yep.
They get a bad vibe from you. I'm sure they could be like, listen, we don't have to really explain ourselves, but we just don't want you here.
Oh, I don't think there's like a probation term there, right? Where, sorry about that. I passed out on the 18th green, and
Yeah.
can you let me off the hook? I don't know if that's happening. And everyone would be on their best behavior, and it's such an incredible place. But like the idea of Eli being a member now, and everyone's like, hey, there's Eli Manning. That guy's a member. Like, forget 2 Super Bowls, forget Manning cast. It's now you're a member of Augusta National.
But
Like, that's what I envy. Not the Super Bowls, not the riches. The fact that you can get on that course, whenever you want, kind of, and at least a few times a year.
So do you think now he gets texts from people in his life, whether they're in the present or in the past, that are like, hey, can we get out? Can we swing him at Augusta? And then he starts playing this game like, how delusional are you that you think I'm bringing you out here?
I think that
No
would
way.
be more aggravating than ticket guy.
Oh, for
Hey,
sure.
because you're in the regular season, I'm sure Eli would be like, I can get you tickets when I'm playing. Super Bowl would be different. Yet there would be an understanding when he played in the Super Bowl, I'm going to have to get a lot of people tickets. Like, I would guess that would be the assumption. If you're Eli Manning, if you're Peyton Manning, there's an understanding, I got to get my parents, my family, some friends. I would guess almost every player, and especially the highest profile, richest players, probably are like, put me down for a certain amount of tickets for every Super Bowl I'm playing in. On top of whatever the league might give them, which I'm sure is not much, especially for a Super Bowl, considering how lucrative that is and the cost of the tickets and all that. This would be way more aggravating because you would be getting texts from people saying, you got to get me into it. You got to get me there to play. You know what I'm saying? Because like you go to a Super Bowl, you're not playing in the Super Bowl. It's awesome. I get to come watch my friend or my brother or cousin or whatever. That would be cool. I want to be there to support you. You bring me to Augusta, I'm playing.
Do you know the trust?
I'm not caddying for you. I put a peg in the ground 18 times and tee off.
In your heart of hearts, how many people would be on your short list if you got named as a member to Augusta?
Mm-hmm.
How many people would be realistically in the mix for you to bring out? Like you're bringing a foursome, so you got 3 other spots. I honestly think there's not more than 5 people that I would really, really trust to say, we're going to Augusta, and I don't have to worry about what you're going to wear, how you're going to act, what you're going to say. Like, just guys that get it. There can't be more than 5 people.
It is a short list. But it'd be tough to turn people down, man. But you'd have to just be willing to do that, and you just have to accept it. Sorry, it's a decline. The thing is, Eli's got the in because he's already playing with Peyton. So he's like, actually, we only have 2 spots. Right. Or I'm bringing one guy, Peyton's bringing someone, sorry.
Yeah.
You might actually have an out. But what a baller move, man. The whole world knows that Augusta called you up. So we want you to be a member.
I also wonder.
Welcome aboard. Here's your green jacket.
Peyton got in. I wonder how long Eli's been trying to get in.
Probably since Peyton got in, I would assume.
You would have to think that it's been a process for him. I'm sure he didn't just wake up one day and be like, Peyton's in. I'd love to be into. Like, let me pick up the phone. Like, that's got to be. And a guy like Eli, he's not as famous as Peyton for whatever reason. Like, is it the personality? Maybe like.
Well, Peyton was a better player. Like
Eli won a lot.
Eli was first overall pick, the Manning name, New York.
Yeah,
but Peyton's, I think one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks ever. Eli's not,
and it's got to be the charisma too of Peyton. Like he was everywhere. He was in the Papa John's commercial, State Farm? Like he's in all
his
these
SNL stuff
everywhere,
was great,
right?
Too.
So
really good.
He's like Eli's not as famous. He's obviously very decorated, but like I'm sure he would have started this process at the same time Peyton did.
Well, and that's got to be tough to chew on that Peyton was in and you weren't.
Imagine that.
And that's probably Eli probably got the invite a couple times. And you talk about being on your best behavior and trying to meet the right people, talk to the right people, especially if you're on a short list. So here I am congratulating Eli Manning and 3 other individuals. Good for you. You're living the life.
Yeah.
All right. So Leafs Bruins tonight. Again, the Juan Soto stuff. I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to approach this moving forward because I don't want to be cynical all the time with this. I don't want to be sarcastic and goof on the process because I'd love to see him as a Blue Jay. Like that would be an incredible scenario. Clearly, there's no downside to the Blue Jays spending a fortune to bring a guy like that in, and I would assume it would probably come with Vladdy getting a big ticket as well. And it's like, here we go. This is Soto and Vladdy. Lock it in. And the idea of the Blue Jays having a 1-2 punch the way that the Yankees did this year, that's got to be worth 8, 9, 10 wins immediately. Like that is literally something tangible you can use in a wins above replacement type of scenario where you can apply Juan Soto to this lineup and you're going to win 7 or 8 more games immediately. If you get a healthy Bo Bichette, who was a negative player last year based on wins above replacement, if he's healthy, if he plays 150 games at short, starts to perform the way he did in the past, like you can start packaging together a lineup here that actually makes a lot of sense, would be very compelling to watch, immediately would change the way things feel. Yet, as I'm saying it, I catch myself because I don't even want to start going down that road because I just don't believe it's going to happen.
Prior to Ohtani, there's been free agents in the past. There's been guys that have been trade rumors. Juan Soto, even when he was getting traded from Washington.
That's right. And San Diego. Remember, before he went to the Yankees, it was like Jays are in on him.
That's my point. It's like even before Ohtani, there have been names that have popped up, and Soto's been one of them, where it's like, the Jays were sniffing around. And I think at the time when that was happening, it was like, just throw in that we're in there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like whoever the insider is, whoever the agent is, like we're sniffing around. We're doing our due diligence. Realistically, you're on the outside looking in on a lot of those. But with Ohtani, it felt real because we knew there was, the finances to go with it and it could happen. But the problem is, like, there's been so many instances now where the management group hasn't exactly told the truth to the fans, or they do it in a way that like it almost makes the fans feel like they're not as smart. You know, they like some of the language and terminology used that I think now people look at it and be like, all right, man, we've seen this.
Yes.
Like we know where you're at. Like you kind of give us the runaround with how you explain things, and it's, you know, call us when you sign someone.
Well, and it also speaks to the way the market now feels about the front office, that this feels more like, and this is a very cynical view, but I totally understand why people have it. This is more about Shapiro and Atkins' image, that we're in the room, we're trying, we're going for it. We've got the money, we've secured it. We are capable of going to the Rodgers family and getting the money necessary to be in the room with Juan Soto. And it's almost as if it's a rehabilitation of their image as opposed to anything else. And again, they very likely are just simply doing what every GM should be doing, which is talking to the best available player, who is a generational talent in his prime, 26 years old, that's already won a World Series, that has proven he is going to step up in the biggest moments. Look what he just did to Cleveland in the ALCS. He's a beast. Like, there's no downside, just like Ohtani, no downside. So they're really, like, them being in the meeting, if they can secure the funds, they should be in the meeting, and they should be pitching. And it should just be very basic and above surface. Yet, because it's Shapiro, Atkins, the recent history, the scars of Ohtani, who they're competing with, the Yankees, it's as if just no one can get there. No one can accept themselves to ride that wave.
If you
not going to do it.
If you ask them, you know, they would want it to come across as, look at us. We're doing the work. We're rolling up our sleeves. We're going to dust ourselves off.
And we're a
gonna
big
get
player.
right back at that.
Big player.
We see ourselves in the same light as the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers and the Red Sox. That's how we see our organization. That's how you should see us as a management group. But it doesn't come across that way. Just because of, you know, last year, the messaging of internal improvement. We didn't get Ohtani, so you know what? We're just going to improve internally now. And I think that's a really good strategy, and it's going to work for us. No one really bought it, and then we saw the product in the field, and we're like, okay, like, clearly, is that what you actually were thinking? Or, like, are you delusional? Like, people start asking questions because you're telling us one thing, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing something else.
Well, and that's a very good point that I think a lot of Blue Jay fans want to know. What's your plan beyond Soto? Because it can't be like last year, where it was all your eggs into the Ohtani basket. Didn't work. Justin Turner, Kiner Falefa, Kiermaier comes back. I guess that'll have to work.
Because if you're really working, like if you're really rolling up your sleeves and saying, we want to improve this team, you got option 1 Soto, but you got option 2, 3, and 4 ready to go.
And those are the realistic ones.
Yes.
Like Soto should be a bonus if miraculously he's willing to come here. Awesome. Thank you. On top of the other work we're doing. And that's another thing, again, fairly or unfairly, this front off, I think a lot of Blue Jay fans are like, you're wasting your time. Go spend your time with other free agents who you could sign. And hopefully they're trying to do both. But we'll be tracking it.
We'll be
tracking the Juan Soto news.
Hopefully we're not tracking the airplane.
Yes, hopefully not. Joe Bowen coming up. Jim Ralph confirm or deny still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Overdrive's Getaway from Tay-Tay is your chance to ditch the chaos when Taylor comes to town. That's rapidly approaching. Go see Travis instead. To enter, visit tsn1050.ca. Submit your very own Overdrive-inspired song today. And I mean today, because we're announcing the winner, I believe, tomorrow, right, Doogie? There's been some unbelievable submissions. Like, unbelievable submissions, and we're going to play a bunch. Awesome, awesome production, commitment, musical detail, just incredible stuff. Where, again, you can submit lyrics, send an audio recording, even record a video, and our favorite song will win tickets to see Kansas City take on Buffalo this Sunday. Hotel stay and a $500 spending cash, or $500 of spending cash, and we'll be announcing the winner tomorrow, right here on Overdrive. Maybe I just needed to Ron Burgundy that and actually finish the read. Instead of asking Doogie, the answer is right there in the read. Details at tsn1050.ca.
Attaboy, Doogie. I've been playing in some of these like alumni games, you know, like the NHL alumni, Leafs alumni, and it dawned on me Sunday. In September of 2021, I was playing in the KHL in Riga, Latvia. I had a stick that I put on the rack and said, this stick is done. It's kind of cracked in the blade. It's got no pop. This stick's done. I looked at my stick on Sunday. It's the same stick. And we're in November of 2024, and I'm still using this thing.
You're using the same stick.
And I'm like, because my stock is low on like sticks I have, and I'm like, now it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it to have pop. You know,
it needs to work and a little bit of a snap.
It just needs to be together. You know, like it just don't flake on me when I get a pass, and I think we're okay, and we'll try and keep this.
I hear you,
keep this thing rolling as long as possible before I have to dive into the other ones.
It's crazy.
I don't want to buy one. I felt bad for a guy. I was going back for a puck, and I lift his stick. He comes over top mine. His shatters. $400.
Yeah, it's $400.
I felt really bad.
Yeah. No, I know. I know exactly what you're going through. My stick got a little bit of a chip on the blade. I'm just going to tape it excessively and be like, I'm not going to buy a new stick. What do you think I'm doing right now? Nothing, man. Like I'm on the ice with my daughter every week, and all the dads. We're just trying to keep that stick alive as long as you can.
Yeah.
One of the guys was a really good pro, played in the NHL, and he's got one of the old school, like original, like one-piece Eastons, and I think he's got a couple like different colors, and he's like, I'm just in and out, in and out, in and out. That's the move, man.
That's the thing, man. This thing was dead. It was dead September 2021, and it's still going.
Still alive. Good. Yeah. The zombie stick. Yeah. Joe Bowen, Jim Ralph, confirm or deny coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.